Salutations! Welcome back to the post show, episode 99. We're back. We took a week off. Real life demanded it. It will do that occasionally, but we're here now. And next week is episode 100. And we've actually talked about what we're going to do. I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea, but we're going to do it anyway. So you should tune in and see how that works out for us. But first, we have to do this episode. So, have you heard of the comic book shop? They're on 128 Bank Street. Okay, they have a website at thecomicbookshop.com and an Instagram at comicbookshopbank. They spell shop, S-H-O-P-P-E. And they proudly support this show. And we appreciate them so much for it. Chances are, if you're listening to this show, you'll be a fan of what they're selling, okay? They've got, obviously, comics every week. They've got manga, anime figurines, anime merch. They've got Gundam build kits. They've got magic. I know that's the thing with the youths these days. So yeah, they have all those things. Check them out. Let them know that we sent ya. Okay, what do we talk about this week? Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, episodes 11 and 12. This is the big one, Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. We have a great many things to discuss about that. Grant gave me like the hard sell on it on episode 98. And we'll see how that works out for him. Lots in the news, okay? Lots in the news. I mean, not like a lot, like you'll see it in the description, but like a significant amount. It's not a little. Okay, then we talk Undead, Unluck, pilot. Gen V, Grant has since watched the first 3 or 4, and as have I. And then Shangri-La Frontier. And we wrap up with the Q&A. Not quality assurance, but the Q&A segment of the week, which we host every Monday on our Instagram. I'm so glad you asked, at Part-Time Otaku Podcast. We put it up on Monday in our stories. You can send in your questions. We'll answer them on the podcast. Also, we're on TikTok now, Part-Time Otaku Podcast. Check us out. Do the relevant social media thing on the relevant social media platform. I think that's enough of that. Enjoy.
Psycho Season 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, hey there, Grant.
Hello, David.
From one chicken boy to another, happy episode 99.
Happy episode 99. How
Dude,
we doing?
We've been out here
I love it.
We've been out here for a minimum of 98 other times.
plus and change.
Yeah, dude. That doesn't even count the Attack on Titan pods. Or bless them, the My Hero Academia Season 5 episodes.
That is a thing and an experiment we tried. And,
no one was happy about My Hero Academia Season 5. Least of all us.
But we're back. Took a week break.
Yeah, real life happens. I say that every time.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a good job of, like, setting precedent that, like, occasionally there will be disruptions.
Yeah, let's pat ourselves on the back.
Generally speaking, we're here. All right? So if we miss an episode, people will be like, oh, those guys, they got real lives. And I like people to live under that illusion that I have a real life. But that means we got I was gonna say like twice the anime to talk about, but not really. Like the only anime that we have a double episode for this week is technically Jujutsu, right?
Yeah, and I think the only other things would be doubling up is maybe news, and then if we're going to talk about a show, it would just be like that second episode of that show we were going to talk about last week. So it's not too bad.
I mean, speaking of, so starting with Jujutsu, I gotta say, I gotta go first and say, really feels like almost vintage Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, we're just in it right now, Mm-hmm. And I love that, dude. I also love that this was episode 12, and I know there's like another 10 or so more coming. That's awesome.
It's so funny you say that because usually when I'm watching Jujutsu Kaisen, it's like the banner on Thursdays. Like it's right there. It's the first thing. You don't even have to go looking for it in your playlist or whatever. And I rewatched them before we recorded tonight, 11 and 12, just like a little refresh there. And I looked at that, and I went to season 2. I had to go in. I looked at season 2, and I was like, oh my god, like we are like literally not even at the halfway mark yet. Like we're like one episode away from being halfway, and blows my mind. We're so spoiled, dude. This show is off the chain right now. I love it.
Yeah. I don't feel as though there's any like particularly huge like lore bombs or like plot points in the last couple of episodes.
Toji coming back.
I mean, no, but like, I was gonna say like there's like been a ton of really cool highlights, but I was gonna get to Toji. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
before I do, I gotta say that like bald guy fight was like so fun.
Very cool.
The Megami Itadori fight.
That to me was the most reminiscent of season 1.
Totally.
Specifically that fight. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's just kind of, you know, the Jujutsu Kaisen, like any good battle shonen, there's a lot of like explaining the details as they fight.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a whole lot of trying to figure the other one out. Usually it's all like, oh, you know, I'm doing it. So like to watch them actually have to try and, you know, figure it out was kind of, you know, nice.
Good team up too.
Yeah, good team up. Those two are great, and just like the banter back and forth between them. It's those little moments with the original cast that I missed the most, right? You know, so it was, you know, it's nice to see like, you know, there's one line I think Itadori says like no comment when they're talking about like I thought this would be a breed, or you know,
I thought you said you would do this fast.
Yeah, no comment. But little stuff like that is really nice to see. But
and then at that time when I watched that, I was like, damn, I wish Nobara was in this episode. And but then she got her moment in 12.
Yeah,
well, it's not really a moment though. She kind of got fucking handled, huh?
I know. It made me very nervous on the first watch of like, oh, they're not just gonna like bring her back and then like take her out, just like
you
right
better
as we get her back. But she had her moments though, like right at the end.
Yeah, as we say too in the biz, you know, just bad stylistic matchup, right? I think that guy was just tricky. I mean, I will say, I forget his name, the ponytail blonde dude with the sword arm thing. But
yeah, Lena's just been calling him the caveman, which I think is perfect.
Him getting handled by Nanami though, dude, that was sick.
The internet is
dripping. Hey, there you go. Great minds.
Oh my god, I think there was like last night or the night before, like my entire feed was just like, you know, daddy memes, and you know, and of course I look at the stuff Leanna sent me, it's like, oh yeah, like this is the dude, I love it.
This is the dude. I mean, that's like there's got to be a term for it. I bet there is. Like we both know, and the audience probably knows what sakuga is. Like it's a scene, right, where they really go for it and they dial up the animation. This is like every now and then they do that with frames. You know what show would do that a lot and did it super effectively was Vivi Fluorite.
Yeah.
Remember every now and again it would pan to her reaction and she was drawn like a fucking comic, like a beautiful graphic novel, like colored in. It was amazing.
Or like a painting.
Yeah.
Like just everything. It
would change, literally change the art style. But anyway, that shot in Anime, to be fair, is pretty moist.
Yeah. So, but I don't. It's crazy. You know, I noticed it more in episode 12, but you can see. And I'm wondering if you picked up on this, because there's a couple moments in like the hidden inventory arc where there's like a slight anime, like a movement, an anime style used for movement, and it reminded me just like Hell's Paradise. Like there was almost like that. It's clearly used to cheapen the shot, like you know, to like make a physical movement across the screen or whatever, and it's almost like a stilted camera shot. They use that a lot this episode. I was like, I wonder how much of like the team on Hell's Paradise was working on this specifically, because that whole Nanami fight is just probably 3 or 4 different animation styles jumbled all in together, and it was kind of overwhelming. And obviously like the big moments, you know, like he looks pristine and all the time and attention was put into it, but very like uneven scene, you know.
You're speaking specifically about the Nanami versus Hand Guy fight?
Yes, there's that, and then also when Toji's fighting the Seance dude, like their upperclassman guy up on the roof there. Like right as Toji when Toji was fighting before.
Towards the end of episode 11 when he bodies him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just kind of like the way the movements.
That was lazy. I agree with that.
It almost looks like blobs at points.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of that even in the Nanami fight too. It's just
I didn't notice
where they're cutting their corners.
Yeah, I didn't notice it, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Interesting. It's funny you say that because there's like a frame I love in episode 12. I've rewatched a couple times when Toji takes full control of the grandson's body.
Yeah.
And he teleports to the granny. Do you know what frame I'm talking about? It's like literally
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
shot. And
Yeah.
he takes one step, but then appears on the other end of the roof. I was like, oh yeah, let's go, bud.
It's like the Vegeta teleport.
It
like,
is.
You know, like that white flash.
And they do
Yeah.
it like, it's not super cool if the show does it all the time, but it's like one character can do this. You know what I mean? I don't know. I love that. So wait, let's get into the Toji stuff real quick.
Yeah.
We may as well. It's like the biggest thing, to your point. So he's just here temporarily, right? Like
I don't think so.
You think
No,
he's got it?
I think, I think, 100%, dude. Yeah.
See,
I think so.
Okay. Well, there we go. This makes it more
Let's
interesting.
get into it. Let's do it. Yeah.
My take was like he's just here till the seance is over, but then he kills the grandma.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now
I'm
confused.
She had a little bit of dialogue of like, only the information of the body was
Yes.
used, nothing of the soul. And there's clearly, like a bad calculation on her part or whatever. And,
He's got a special body.
Through. He's back, dude. Like 100%.
You think he's back permanently?
Yeah. No. Until he gets dropped again. But,
interesting.
Or if he doesn't. Because
we
what?
gotta
This
take
is
that.
also
I think
making me
it's
think of.
like gonna expire and he's gonna turn into a grandson. But we'll see long term.
Yeah, well, so the thing, Leanna and I were talking.
She better not have given you intel, dude.
No.
Now.
And I told her too. I was like kind of like talking out loud. I was like, don't even like look at me right now. Like I don't want to see any confirmation on like my idea. But there's the very important scene a couple episodes ago where right before Gojo gets put into the prison or the cube, and Ghetto's hand or Ghetto's soul technically kind of takes control again and tries to choke out the body.
Oh, because it lives within the body. Yeah, that's what they were talking about. Yeah.
So that but the whole thing is like, who knew the soul can override the body?
Sure.
So who knows if we're going to actually get Ghetto back? Is what I'm thinking. Maybe.
Jesus.
Like down the road, like like arcs down the way. Like Ghetto. Someone figures out like this whole thing because they kind of like introduced like seance powers and then like okay,
no, that's a good
here's
point.
like the super benefit of them. Like it all seems very.
They've opened
relevant.
a door a little bit.
I think so, yeah. But
because in theory you could maybe just channel. I don't. That's interesting. It's funny. We don't have this can of worms problem often with Jujutsu Kaisen because they're like so specific about how like this technique works versus that one. But yeah, it feels like things are just the moment you trap Gojo. Like that episode that followed it was called Pandemonium. Like it is, It does feel like the show has just changed. Everything is in the air. I don't know what to expect next. I like the Mei scenes. Mei.
God, really? Like even the goofy circus walk.
That was weird.
It was weird, but then it became funny.
Weird. Okay, wait. No, I should be more specific. I like where the episode ends with her in episode 12.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, there were some weird moments with her in earlier, but I'm excited because I wrote my notes here. Like, I'm not even sure which fight I'm most excited for next week because they queue up two. They queue up
Choso and Yuji,
and then Mei versus this special grade curse, and then maybe Ghetto afterwards, but who knows?
Okay, so I think the obvious fight now on the table is Fushiguro and Toji.
Yeah, I mean, that was my
and Toji. Yeah, that seems
question. When I saw the guy falling, the assistant, or not the assistant, the guy who was like their upperclassman, falling off the roof, I was like, oh right,
Eno?
like
I think his name's
Eno. Yeah, like I was like, oh right, he got rocked by Dad. So like, will they meet? Will they recognize each other?
I don't know, because they alluded that Megumi was like no, he was like walking the streets by himself when Gojo runs into him, like shortly afterwards, or maybe it could have been years later. He could have been a newborn. I'm not too sure.
I'm assuming it was probably relatively shortly.
Did couple things. I really liked like the old dude, like the granny, the grandfather guy. Their kind of backstory about them hunting down Gojo at one point. That was a really cool scene.
This is like the
flashback in episode 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh god,
that was cool.
Man, that little scene showing the body,
man,
transmog, whatever you want to call it. Ugh.
He's like cutting off their face. They're peeling off their faces. He's like, oh this one ripped.
Yeah, there's some creepy imagery in episode 11 that I totally forgot about. They did some weird shit.
Yeah. Another really cool thing that I didn't catch on the first either viewings, Leanna had to point it out for me, but when Nanami finds the assistant supervisor like not dead on the ground. So we get that confirmation too. He's still alive. He has a flashback when he's looking at him. There's a flash to Haibara from which I thought was like, oh damn. Okay, so this is why he's like so jacked up and ready to.
They did some cool artsy shit in episode 12. They did some shit like that. Like, yeah, I dug that.
The show's so good. Like Thursdays is like could not come faster.
You know? Yeah, and it's also I'm sure it's big everywhere, but dude. I'm like the quote. I have shame on my face as I say this. The reactors like circuit on YouTube, they're getting the Jujutsu episodes up, with full like thumbnail spoilers like from that episode, within like 2 hours of it airing.
What?
So it's like
so shitty.
It is so shitty. So like my algorithm is betraying me. So I might have to like cut it out the way I did Attack on Titan. But like I tell Sam every Thursday, I'm like, yeah, it's not optional. Like we have to watch it tonight because like I'm not gonna. Not just YouTube, but then on social media, watch stills. Because it's like Crunchyroll, everybody posts stills from this show.
Yes.
For whatever. Like, I see it's way more mainstream than I think a lot of the
moment,
stuff out there.
too, which is annoying. It's always like, it'll be like 4 or 5 stills from the scene. And it's like, okay, not only is like the moment kind of ruined, it's like other like key, like, poses and like everything. Like the whole, it's too much. But
Bastards.
So Thursdays gotta watch it.
Thursdays, dude, tune in. Fuck yeah, man, this is like the best shit on right now. I'm loving it. But let's talk about something else, dude.
Oh, okay, Dave. I am waiting on bated breath with this one.
So I didn't watch it. No, I'm kidding.
No, you didn't.
Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. So Grant gave me the hard sell on this last episode, episode 98. Mm-hmm. And you have a pretty good record for like when you say it's like a Dave show. It tends to be like up my alley. I'm not as good at that as you, Jesus.
We're not as annoying as I am at like, hey, Granny, check this show out. Like
yes and no, but I think I struggle to recommend things to other people's taste sometimes. Maybe I'm just too busy thinking about myself. You know what I mean?
You send me music. Quite often.
Oh, that's true. I do that.
Yeah.
No, I am great.
To it.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah. I am great.
You sent me a good track today.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, but let's talk about Frieren. So I'm caught up. I think I've watched all 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah.
You're right. It is a slow start. But I think you said they put out like 4 episodes.
The first 4 episodes came out.
That was obviously a good decision. I think I was intrigued by episode 1, curious but not like enthralled by episode 2, and then like by episode 3 I was like, oh shit. Like 2 and 3 maybe, and then maybe 4 again. I don't know. It just keeps getting stronger and is developing very nicely. And yeah, like I think you also said like this is kind of what I wanted Moshiko Tensei to be. Yes. And like I get that. It is like they are doing something very different.
Mm-hmm. It's not the same. But it's
like to your point, but they are almost in a competitive space, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the story can be more different. But yeah, dude, it's like the whole package. Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Check out even the YouTube trailer does a good job of like, oh, you're in it for something different. But like, I think the trailer might actually make it look a little slower than it actually is. Like a lot happens.
Oh really? Yeah, I never watched the trailer. So that's,
the trailer really just explains the name. It kind of gives you like the hey, you're gonna meet Frodo after he's destroyed the ring, and like that's what this show is. And you're like, I mean, I guess that's sort of true, but like,
yeah, kind of, sort of.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot happening in the here and now in this show that like is its own story. But I don't know, man. This thing is fucking awesome.
It feels so, we've talked about this with other shows, but it truly feels so lived in. Everything has its place, and these people, like, the most recent episode, I think 6, when they're trying to go to, they're at like a checkpoint. It's not like a major spoiler or anything like that, but there's a checkpoint, and just kind of like how they go about their town and like or through the town, and they're trying to figure out ways how to get through the checkpoint, and they kind of like they're learning about themselves and each other. Fern and is it Stroud? I can't remember the dude's name. We kind of just met him, but
yeah.
And it feels like, oh, this is like a believable like Stark. Fantasy town. Stark, thank you. And how about the animation on that fight he had?
Yeah.
That was probably some of the best animation this year.
Yeah, dude. That was... I was wondering, I was like, are they going to do it? Like, how far are they going to go?
Yeah.
And the show knows how to use action, how to pace it.
Yes.
And it also, kind of like Vivi, has like these beautiful artsy frames at times. Like when she found, this is like as mild as a spoiler. It's a tiny plot point in one episode. When she found like the blue flowers,
yeah,
I was like, oh my god! Like I care all of a sudden about these flowers. You know what I mean? I was like, and it's just so sweet but sweet in a very different way. I don't know, man. Like I would really, if you gave me like the elevator pitch on this show, which isn't what you did, but like if I tried to give it to someone, I think you run the risk of it sounding corny. You know what I mean? And then you watch it and you're like, oh, but the execution's so good.
It's funny because I think with this show and this, like, you know, the kind of like the subject matter is, you can try and sell exactly what it is, like 3 or 4 different ways, depending on like how you view it. You know, it's kind of very adaptable story, you know, like perception wise, like, you know, like, is it really about this? Is it really about that? Like that's why it reminds me of To Your Eternity in a lot of ways. I think that's why I recommended it, because the usage of time and other people's understanding of time and place, and it's less cerebral than To Your Eternity, which, you know, eventually kind of ate itself towards, you know, where we kind of stopped watching. But like, this feels very present and not in your face, and it's not overwhelming, and in a good way, you know, like everything kind of just presented as is, and it's, you know, it's not hard to put the pieces together, and the uses of flashbacks are so good. Like, that could get old very fast.
Yeah.
You know, like, you used to go nuts with My Hero. Again, we're always punching down on that, but like, I'm in love with this show. Yeah.
It's about execution, right? Like,
yeah,
there's a good way to do a flashback, and then there's like a shitty way to do it. You know what I mean? And I'm not calling out just My Hero on that. Like, I think flashbacks are like a little bit of a crutch and can be relied on a little bit too often if you get in the habit of them. But yeah, these are like, they serve the story. They give you context you literally don't have. Right? Yeah, man. I don't know.
And we're getting a full 25 episode run.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, straight through, no split core.
Yeah, see, this is crazy because I was thinking, you know, I finished Ergo Proxy, and like maybe I'll do like a review on here about that at some point on a future episode, or a reel on our Instagram or on our TikTok. Get
it?
Check us out, Part Time Otaku Podcast. But I was thinking to myself, like, oh, what next? Now that that's done, I need to go, you know, knock off like another big anime off my list. But it's like, we've got Frieren and Jujutsu, and we're gonna talk about Undead, Unluck after the newsfeed. Yeah. But Gen V is on. Like, I feel like I have so much to watch week to week right now, and we've kind of like stumbled into like the fall psycho season without really, you know what I mean, planning for it. But like,
fucking fall, man.
I just didn't think
I live for it.
I didn't think all these shows would be sticky. And like, there's another show like that we'll talk about in another, like in a few weeks probably. Like, I might keep watching this Kingdoms of Ruin thing.
Okay, all right. So it's funny because I've heard a lot. I'm very curious to hear you talk about that.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much on. It's crazy, and a lot of it is good. Like,
yes,
I'm down, and I haven't even touched Spy Family, which is crazy. Yeah, because there's so much on. But anyway, Frieren is like, you were right. It is must watch. No, she was gone, and I was like, I think, you know, and I bet Frieren will have this problem with other people. I think the pitch of like, oh, you do kind of like, you should watch 2 or 3, is like a tough sell. I shouldn't have said it. You know what I mean? But
3-episode rule, yeah.
But the 3-episode rule is always true. But I think some people are like, oh, I can do one quick. Give me a good 20-minute anime. When you're like, hey, like, we should watch like an hour of it. They're like, ugh. It's just a bigger commitment. But she will probably get caught up. Maybe. We'll see.
It's so, like, it's... Also,
but
like,
it's must-see TV. Like,
it is truly like must-see anime TV, but there's the whole package to it. Like, the opening and the endings are so beautiful, like, so well done.
Great ED,
a little bit of puppetry at the end. The ED, all like what they do with the animation.
Who does this? Do you know?
Madhouse, dude. Like, OGs are making this show. Yeah. Like,
damn, dude.
You know, so it's, I don't know, and you know, like, Leanna's The reason this came on my radar is because she's reading it.
And I was like, gonna ask, like, where did this? Like, did you just see this on Crunchyroll or something?
Well, there was Mother's Basement was talking about. He has like one of his side channels just talking about like this manga is like blowing my mind, and Leanna was literally talking like that afternoon, like, oh, I need that next thing to read, and I was like, oh, like, check this out. It sounded interesting, and I didn't think anything of it. And she was like, yeah, like I'm like 40 chapters in. I'm like, what? Like fell in love with it. It's really good.
Is it still ongoing? Do you know?
Yeah, it is still ongoing.
Nice. Is there a lot?
I think it's in the hundreds, like low hundreds, I think, chapter wise. So it's a couple years, 3-4 years it's been running.
Tight.
Actually, I got an email from Viz saying that like volume 9 is now for sale. So
damn, dude.
Yeah, we got some, but yeah, I don't know. And from what I was reading too, pretty much every episode is 2 chapters. Yeah, so they're really taking the time and fleshing everything out. So.
Good, and they're giving us 25 in a row. Hard to complain.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Anyway, hats off. You were totally right. Love it. That it's now like I'm watching this every week, unless they fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things I won't miss an episode.
There is like it's not even like a confidence issue. Like I just know like there's like zero chance. I think from what we've seen, the way the show has been handled so far, I cannot imagine them just kind of throwing it to the wayside.
And Mappa didn't get this one, so maybe no production issues. We'll see. Maybe it comes out on a weekly basis. No, I'm playing. All right. Speaking of renewing shitty product, let's talk about the news. We've got 2 weeks worth of news here, so we're gonna chug through it a little bit. We'll start with the bottom of the heap. They renewed Castlevania Nocturne for season 2, and I can't believe it. No, I'm kidding. So Grant knows, and if you listen to this, you know that like I fucking love Castlevania. Like the originals.
You went to bat for it, yeah.
I really went to bat for it, and I still stand by it. Like I really just don't think. I mean, obviously, like anime and like animation are in a change period and a growth period these days, and like shows like Invincible are like very different. Season 2 of that is coming, by the way. Yeah. And are like more in this vein, but like Castlevania. We talked about this like in the last week or two. It was like the first big one that I saw that like was rated R, made by Netflix, animated. It was also one of the few video game adaptations that people actually fucking liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just had a lot going against it. And if you think about seasons 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 as like pairings or couples, it's a great fucking series. So I was stoked about Castlevania Nocturne. When we talked about it last week or last episode, you had said like, oh, I hear it's different. Yeah. And I had only watched the pilot, and the pilot for Nocturne is like, they do a good job of like, it's kind of like, that's as close to the OG Castlevania as you get. And then they like very quickly change quite a bit. Everything from the characters and the stories and the, even like the lore and the power system, like it just changes a lot. I don't know. So I enjoyed the first one without knowing literally anything about the game history. So like, I don't know if they're just telling the game.
But now, now you're just going in with your history with the previous show and you're comparing it to that, not necessarily like going in as a blank slate, right? It has that to work against.
It's under the weight of Castle, but like when you do a spin-off properly. And, we can talk about spin-offs and, like, are they oversaturated or are they not? I think there's good examples of them working and not working. Like, we're going to talk about Gen V after the break.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
Like, I don't know. But it just felt like they kept the bad parts to me. Or not the bad parts, but they just changed it a lot, dude. Like, I watched episode 2 and I was like, that was very different from episode 1. I was like, I'll give it another one. And then, like, episode 3, I turned off with, like, 2 minutes left. I was like, all right, I'm not doing this.
So what, like just tone is different or like...
Tone is different. The characters just aren't sticking, and that's like a big problem, right? Okay. Like when you meet the main cast, which to be fair, in Castlevania, like you don't really meet the main cast till season 1 is over, but season 1 is only like 3 episodes. Yeah. Or 4 maybe. So it's like, 3 episodes in and I'm just like, I don't like these fucking people. Like, I don't know. I don't like these people. This story is so fragmented. I think all of episode 3 was a fucking flashback to about a character's origin that I don't care about. You know what I mean? I was like, why have you wasted my time this way?
Yeah.
And it's just like when a show makes that choice, you're like, all right, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's like one of those things. Like, there's too much good shit on for me to burn, 90 minutes to then find out like, oh, you're fucking around.
It's kind of, the double-edged sword of the fall Psycho season, right? Like, you do have quite literally a ton of very good shows, a lot of newer stuff, sequels, everything under the moon. And it's hard for these shows that just are even slightly lesser. They're very quick to just throw it to the wayside. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people work very hard on these things, but there's like 5 or 6 shows that you want to focus your attention on, and there's something that's just like not doing it. Like it's you kind of just got to move on.
If this was on in like June, I might have watched the whole thing, right? Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
So right, over to you.
Yeah. So there's, again, it hasn't been fully sourced, but there has been a rumor going around that I believe it's Netflix is pushing very hard for the rights for the Cyberpunk 2077 live action series. I know that's, again, I think it was just on Reddit we were seeing it, but I think this has been going around for a little while now. There's been previous quotes on this as well, but I don't know if that's what we need. If I'm being honest.
I don't know. Like, it's weird because Cyberpunk is like, in general, it has broken a lot of rules, right? Like, they really fucked up their video game launch historically badly, and then like they had this second life with an anime adaptation that like was also very risky, and it worked and people loved it, and then like a little bit after that they put out an expansion that also sells really well, and their game is fixed now. So it's like they've had like this weird like full circle thing, and now it's like, do we push our luck and like do a fucking live action? Like, to your point, I don't know if that's what we need. I think Project Red says they want to do a sequel to the game.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they put out a huge roadmap last year, the year before. They just straight up said, like, we have 6 projects we're working on, and just kind of like knock out all the chatter. Like, they are this, and it's like, what will be the sequel to Cyberpunk? A new Witcher game, a remake of the first Witcher. Like a Witcher side story thing. Oh yeah, like they just kind of threw it all out there. Like, we're not hiding.
They're a really interesting company. I'm only
very, very interesting. Yeah.
Familiar with them because of Cyberpunk, and I touched Witcher a little bit, but like, I kind of dig what they're doing over there. And also, like, I'm all in on Phantom Liberty, and so like,
I haven't played the expansion yet. Yeah.
No, I'm not in expansion territory yet. I restarted because they advise that you restart, but it's given me the opportunity to like mess around with different builds, because now I had like 30 hours into V1, you know what I mean? And now I'm in V2. I'm like, geez, like it's one of those games that just makes more sense the more you play it, and then you know what I mean? It's like once you can recognize the details, you're like, oh wow, this is a really well thought out. Like, it's just a really, really good product, which I recognize is like ironic because it was so bad at launch, but like, it's just so good now, it's crazy.
Yeah, but like, I don't think the fixings were the problem with the original product. It was technical stuff and kind of systems, in of itself. And like,
ran out of time.
World, what was filled in the world was like not ever the problem. Like there was a cool story. There was, like the world itself was, so they always had that going for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know we'll see if that comes to fruition, but I just want Edgerunners.
Yeah. Not a single original DCEU cast member will be in James Gunn's DCEU.
Talk about fresh slate.
Fresh slate. It's funny because he said it at one point, like, oh no, like, we're not ruling anything out. Some people might continue. I'm not just targeting Henry Cavill. And it's like, anyway, long story short, but it sounds like none of them will be reprising their roles. Remember how quickly they killed that Wonder Woman 3 talk?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Michael Mann confirms his next project will be Heat 2.
When did you see Heat? Like the original Heat?
I was 14 years old.
Yeah, see, I was like 26.
Blew my fucking mind.
I was like 26, and I knew in my head it was like this magical thing. And unfortunately, sometimes when that happens, like, it just doesn't hit for you. Because it's under the weight of like You know what I mean? When you hear all your current favorite directors be like, "Oh, Heat is the best thing I've ever seen," it's like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah.
Like,
wait, you're saying Heat didn't land for you?
It did, but like I think by the time I saw it, I'd seen so many action. No, hear me out, because I think you can hear where I'm coming from. It's like,
yeah, no, I'm playing.
It's like, a kid that grows up on sci-fi today, that's 25. Sure. You show them A New Hope. Mm-hmm. It might not be, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, that's what a sci-fi movie is. It's like, no, that's what they became because of this. Mm. They don't know that. They don't have that context. So like for Heat, I was like, yeah, like this is like a really cool heist movie. That's clearly older, and like that was kind of it for me. But it's like when you think about the context, it changed the movies like that. I know all that, but it just didn't. I can't change how I felt.
It was handed to me. Remember HMV? Of course you do. But we were just in. They had like a DVD section of like 3 for $10 or something, and I had 2 picked out, and I was like, and my dad just goes like, "Yeah, this is a good one."
Oh, really?
Just like handed, and I was like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "Hey, I'd take that for a spin," and literally got into shit that night. Had like the TV set way too loud, and then it kicked off to like the robbery. My dad got downstairs. What the fuck are you doing down here? It's so loud.
Isn't there some story about?
It's true. Yeah,
they use live ammunition or something, or they did something to make the gunshots in the city sound amazing. There's like some factoid
I don't know about that.
There's something about that. Like some directors, like, oh, you'll never get sound like in Heat because he did something special or something with the. I don't know. There was some bullshit like that. But yeah,
he's big on the audio. He does a lot of interviews. I know. Like it was like an urban myth, but it is apparently very true. In when you're buying high end stereo systems, the demo they use is they put in a copy of Heat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's that cool. And if you're buying for like vinyl stuff, they put on Dark Side of the Moon.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah. There's an interesting, like, this sort of like adjacent, but there's an interesting video. It might have been The Verge or Vox or I don't know. Don't come at me if you're not fans of those publications. I don't know who it was, but someone did like the Christopher Nolan audio problem explained. And I think I shared it on our podcast like, a year ago, because I was like, how on the nose is it that like people have to write this stuff because his audio is such a problem. But it was funny because it was like what you don't realize is like the guy is so nutty about audio that like he's really optimizing for like a pretty sophisticated sound system, and that doesn't necessarily work all the time in all types of theaters. They were kind of, I think trying to help him out a little bit and give him a bit of an out. But like the point was like, if you go really deep down the audio soundtrack rabbit hole, like you'll get really, really great results. But I was like, yeah, that's cool. But like, couldn't it be like a giant movie like fucking Heat where it's awesome all the time? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just
the goal different. To me, the goal should not be make it as best for the people that have this specific thing. Like that's nice, and for auteurs and cinephiles and audiophiles and all that, like good for them. But the rest of us with like the TV speaker, if we're lucky, a soundbar, like I don't know. I just movies and I'm under the impression everyone should be on the same playing field. Like
agreed. God, we gotta see. I'm thinking of movies, Grant. We gotta see that Fincher movie, or
I've been watching like a hawk for those tickets going sale.
Or Killers of the Flower Moon. One of the two.
Yeah, this weekend. Oh fuck, that's this weekend.
Oh god, there's always something. We'll take it offline, as they say. Marvel. This is fun. Marvel has let go of all directors and not fun, but hear me out. Marvel has let go of all directors and writers on the Daredevil Born Again series. They're going for a quote creative reboot.
Interesting. I saw the hullabaloo. Didn't read it. And I was like, I'm sure that'll be in the newsfeed when we meet up on Tuesday. I had no idea that's what happened.
Yeah. So
just everyone's gone. Just even Matt, or not Matt, or the Charlie Cox.
No. It doesn't say cast. It just said. Okay. It just said directors and writers. So maybe like they want a new showrunner. Maybe they're going to write the whole thing. Like, that character is in a weird spot, right? Because he's like has all this Netflix baggage that he may or may not be able to use. And it's a little confusing. So And they committed, maybe they'll change this now that they fired everybody. They had committed to 18 episodes. Like, that's fucking long. It's a lot of content. So anyway, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see.
Yeah.
Attack on. So we were talking last episode about a new kind of one-off Attack on Titan chapter.
Yeah.
Apparently, some details. It's going to be focusing on a specific character's childhood. Do you happen to know who they're going to be talking about?
No, and I didn't even want to fucking look at it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we're too close to the final hour.
Yeah. We're God, that's within like 2 or 3 weeks. That's nuts.
Yeah, man. So
I don't even want to think about it. I just want to keep my blinders on until it's November 4th or whenever, and then we'll tune in. I will
not get got.
I will not get got. I'm dodging these things, dude. Dragon Ball Daima announced.
Yeah, tell me about this.
Yeah, so there was we put it on our Instagram because they've been teasing an announcement Dragon Ball related for a little while now. I think I'm not going to speak for the quote Dragon Ball community or the anime community at large, but what I will say, my own impression, just keeping, I don't know, just a little bit in touch with how the community feels on Dragon Ball, because I finished Super and I've been after you and a couple other people to watch it. It's, I would say it's good, not great, but it's like nostalgic and it's fun, and I'm glad I watched it. And then especially like once you watch Dragon Ball Super Broly, you're like, oh my god, like it all really, really pays off. But the manga kept going, and like everyone, that manga community was like, oh, there's like some other good stories here. Why I assume they're gonna come back, because at the end of Super they always said we'll be back.
Okay.
And then they did Broly, and they said we'll be back, and I was like, oh, so they're gonna. I just felt like they were gonna pick up Super again. This is a totally unrelated project. I don't know if it comes off the Super canon. I've heard it might be removed from the Super canon, and the animation looks very different. And I mean, like, spoilers, like in the first 10 seconds of the trailer, like it's like Kid Goku and Kid Vegeta. It's like Attack on Titan Junior High or whatever they call.
That was fun, though. I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, no hate, but it's just very, very different, right? So I don't know.
Forgive me for being ignorant. Is Akira Toriyama still the one writing Dragon Ball?
He's doing this, yeah. So like that's like the confusing part, because I think Akira Toriyama was fully out of GT, and everyone points to that as like see, it went wrong because he was out, and then.
But the manga too, I mean, like he's still writing that, like
fuck,
week or whatever.
Good question. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know, but I don't know. I think this is coming out in the next little while. I'm sure I'll check out the pilot.
I think it's a 2024.
Yeah, so I'll watch the pilot when it's out, and I'll report back.
Might be a fun way to jump in for me.
No. If you're gonna watch anything, dude, go watch. You've seen You've seen Battle of the Gods.
No, dude.
What?
The last time I watched Dragon Ball was when Majin Buu showed up, and was still in baby form. He wasn't even like the weird, ugly.
Wait, so you didn't finish? You didn't finish Dragon Ball Z?
No, dude. I never watched that show. Like that was like I get home from school. I'm like, okay, what episode? I was like, is my boy Piccolo on screen? No, next. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I was into it.
So I thought you were a real one, bro. Really did.
Yeah, dude. I was the one like waiting for Card Captor to start, and I was like, "Yeah, come on, Dragon Ball, let's get it."
Yeah, dude. While you were watching Card Captor, dude, I was yelling in my room trying to turn Super Saiyan. Right? We're not the same. Yeah. Hey, Mom, if you hear me screaming, it's just because I'm trying to ascend to Super Saiyan 2. You ever see the video of that kid? I think his name is Jalen. He just goes, I'm going to turn Super Saiyan. And it's just a kid just grunting in his desk chair. Yeah. And he just starts screaming. And his mom's like, what's wrong? And he goes, my name is Jalen. And I'm a Super Saiyan.
Oh my god.
It's awesome. It's one of the best things I've seen. Anyway.
Fuck.
It's Dragon Ball. Okay, let's talk about Undead, Unluck.
Yeah, man. I've been stressing out over this show. You have no idea.
Why?
Well, just like the streaming rights situation going on with it is kind of, it is foolish, but it has been corrected apparently. Hulu and Disney who have the rights, just straight up only, like they region locked it, only Japan and the US got it. For what, because Hulu is not in anywhere other than those two countries, I believe.
Chums.
So yeah, you know, to watch it, you have to go through various other means and getting that to work. And I don't know. I think it's so annoying. Like, I pay for all the services. Like, there's only a couple major anime, you know, ways to watch, like, you know, legally, and I just prefer to like have it on an app and ready to go and all. It was driving me insane that like it just could not be there.
Yeah.
When I'm paying all these people, you know, like, just give me the goddamn anime.
You're going out of your way to subscribe to all the services, and you're like, but still, I have to, you know.
Yeah. But no, apparently, so there hasn't been given a specific date, but they have said, you know, details soon to come for the worldwide premiere. But yeah, first episode, what'd you think?
So I didn't take notes for this one because I think we watched it on a whim, but I had to like run. We had to run shortly after watching it, and all I have in my notes was, you know, the 2 character names, and then that was fucking awesome. Like, that's all I've got. Yeah. It's awesome. It's fantastic.
Leanna's favorite. It's one of her like favorite things right now, like ongoing. She loves this manga. I
kept having bouts of uncertainty, like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work. Like, I don't know if this bit you're doing is gonna work. And then like the more the tone, like the more the show like set its feet and like the tone, I was like, oh, like the more they're doing, like the more I like it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, like they're really finding their voice. And I think by the end of the episode, you're like, oh, so this is the show. And like, yeah, I'm 100% in.
It's so, just the action alone they did. Also, can you believe the main guy is voiced by the same guy as Gojo?
No.
Yeah.
Undead? Andy at the Undead? Is Gojo?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to tell Sam that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Rage. That's all I'm saying. But
Range, no doubt.
Yeah. So Leanna did tell me up front, because we were watching it, and I kind of just looked at it. I was like, this is like fucking like horny, dude. And she's like, that goes away very quickly. Like, it's they
kind of set you
definitely
up.
How it started. They set you up, and then it kind of, you know, I'm sure there's always going to be moments. Like, I get the feeling it's that kind of show, but it's not as in your face. Kind of how she tells it. But
is it weird that does it remind you of Zom 100 at all? Excuse me.
Yeah, it does. I think it's the big eyes.
The big eyes and the
on Andy. Yeah.
Maybe the nudity bit too.
Sure. Oh yeah. Oh duh. Yeah. Obviously.
Shared nudity bit, but yeah, I don't know, the action, the comedy, I laughed.
Power system. Her power system is so interesting.
What a cool idea.
Just the opening too of like her reading the manga. And it's like so dramatic and because the show is made by David Productions, which is the JoJo studio.
Yeah.
And after watching this first episode, and I've watched, you know, you and I watched a little bit of JoJo.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the best of what JoJo was, but we got like, you know, a good taste of it.
Got a little feel for sure.
And I don't think there's any studio more perfectly associated or like perfectly assigned to this task for this show. And like just they even like threw like a freaking like a JoJo pose like in the first minute of the show, just like, hey, this is, you know, we're doing this, you know. I don't know. It was just I asked her, I was like, that's the manga. She's like, I don't think so. I'm like,
that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's David Productions doing their thing. But
damn, dude.
No, just really, really fun.
I love the movie trailer thing at the beginning, or the manga she was reading too. I was like, what a neat opening. I don't know.
Yeah. And then it loops back, and that's just how she feels. And I don't know. It was just very smart, as like silly and lewd, and kind of flies in the face of like what we love. It really works, you know.
Yeah, and it just covers a lot of ground. Like, you know, you've got Frieren and Jujutsu and Undead. Like, this is also probably a mainstay. Like, I'm probably just gonna watch this every week.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I don't know. Well done, Undead, Unluck.
So
and
good.
I think I was caught up on Gen V last we spoke, but I was like 3 or 4 in, and now I'm probably a week behind, maybe 2. But you said you watched the first 3.
I'm trying to think if I've watched 4.
I'm pretty sure I watched 4, but either way,
I can't remember. But anyways, great. This show is great, dude.
Yeah.
Like as I was watching it, I'm saying dude a lot today. What the fuck is wrong with me?
It's cool, bro.
It's cool, bro. It just made me remind, like, I was like, oh, I love The Boys. Like, what a good show. And all just the great elements of that. And kind of telling the same thing, but they are doing something just different enough. It's, like, super refreshing, you know? Like, I think it's a lot of fun. I really like the cast, which I think was, like, my biggest worry. just because it's hard not to repeat like what you have in the boys, and there's kind of like all those archetypes there, and it was nice to see like they kind of got fresh archetypes in this as well. But it's fun.
It's a big ask, right? Like, I think it's tricky because in a spin-off, like, well, we just talked about it with Castlevania Nocturne, right? Like, you're under the weight of everything that came before it, so it's like this better work. You know what I mean? And it does.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm trying to think, what is the opener on Gen V? Because I wanted to tell you, but I was like, no, I can't tell you. But yeah, I'm excited for you to watch it. Like there's like an opening gory scene, and I can't remember what it is. I think it's the girl discovering her blood manipulation power.
Yes.
Is that the opener?
Parents. It is the opener. Yeah.
Oh, fuck! What a move.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Unreal. But like when you think about it, and I don't think this is probably unfair of me to compare them, but when you look at the Marvel shows from one to the other, there could be like it feels like there's no cohesiveness between the worlds. Like it just feels very like this is the world we're making, and like it just kind of like just fit it in. But like you take this and you take the boys, like it's the same where it feels so like you step in one door and you're out into the other one, and you go back and forth. Like it feels very fleshed out, and it's that's there's also not the bloat of Disney and all their shows and trying to make all their universes and whatnot. But
it's funny though. It is funny though, right? Because you have to admit, I mean, this is how I feel. Like this is how you get there. You know what I mean? Like I think I was talking to Sam about this. Like I have this problem of like if a little is good, then a lot must be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think like it's a little bit of salt, and then like now you have kidney stones. It's like, and I don't. I'm just saying. It's like, I feel like you would feel so privileged as a movie studio to be like, oh, like not only are we connecting 2 movies, we're connecting 3 or 4 or 5. Or like how long will people stay along this ride? How long can we keep this thing going? And then you're the most profitable franchise in history. And then like a year later, everybody's exhausted. You know what I mean? Like it's just so finite. You have to like really stay in the pocket and not oversaturate. I think one show is pretty good. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how much longer the boys will even run at this rate. And like,
it's hard to say. Yeah, because that was quite the way that kind of ended. Definitely not like it left a question of like where it's going to go, but
it feels like we're in the back half, don't it?
Yeah, I think so. I could also see like. Again, I haven't seen all the episodes and the season's not done, but Gen V could also be just like a backdoor of like getting these characters into the boys.
Totally.
And then they're kind of done with Gen V, and
That'd be cool.
Everything kind of finishes. But if there's one thing that I cannot keep out of my mind as I'm watching Gen V is I want Invincible Season 2, which is, I think, the biggest comparison to this.
Yeah, that's a great point, yeah.
And I think does a lot of things better, but also has the convenience of animation, but the show does look great, but every time I see someone on screen, it's like, oh yeah, I just want more Invincible. Like that show rocks, and like I broke my rule. I watched the trailer today. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh dude, yeah. Did you see the voice cast?
Dave, I freaking backed out so quickly. I watched like 20 seconds. I saw like Seth Rogen's character came in, like the alien, and I was like, no. I just like next. Like I went to the next video. I was like, I'll see when I see it. But I saw a couple seconds of action there, but
it looks like it's gonna be good. I'm stoked on it. All right.
Sure.
So yeah, I think Gen V, I don't know if it's like I can guarantee I'll watch every week, but I'm gonna watch it. You know what I mean?
It's one. It's one like when I have the time, I'll sit down and I'll watch it. Like I'm not gonna be week to week for sure. But it's I don't know. Because I fired the first episode of Loki up, season 2.
Nope.
And then this.
No, I'm kidding. Keep going.
Gen V, and I was just like, oh yeah, I think I'm just gonna stick with Gen V, and like Loki, I'm just probably not gonna finish that. So
yeah, I feel bad.
I don't know. Good.
Well, I don't feel bad, but you know what I mean. It's like I just can't.
I'm tired. I'll come back to it. It's always gonna be there.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll get back to it at some point. All right, homie. You want to tell me about your little? I can't even. I'm not gonna try and pronounce this, dude.
So this is my. How do I word this? This is like my Zom 100 2.0.
Jesus.
And this is not a
you're
show.
only-
I'm not trying to sell you on it.
No, but you're only
not
saying
trying
that
to sell you
because
on
Zom 100 can't put out any episodes.
No, it's just I saw the trailer for this, and it just like the first thing that came to my mind is like this show has no business looking as good as it does. Like I don't know who's making it or what. Like it's for a video game, VR world setting. Like not an isekai, but like people are just plugging in, playing the game or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, Dave. The show is fucking awesome, man. It's one of the few shows where I've seen, and again, I don't really like gaming in anime because I feel like it's just they kind of focus in on like the like online gaming and all that, and just like that's not a huge culture to me. Like we played WoW, but like how overseas it's different.
Yeah.
And but there's just something about this, like it feels very like the min-maxing thing, and they're talking about builds and this, like it's anyway. I'm kind of straight.
Wait, did we give the name of the show?
The show's called Shangri-La Frontier.
Shangri-La Frontier.
And so the premise is the main character, he's one of those like sadists, and he only plays like trash games, like have like OG cyberpunk kind of games, like where they're unplayable. Like he 100%s them. He has like a rating system of like the all-time worst and like kind of only bad and like some redeemable qualities. And he decides to take a break from like shitty gaming, and he plays like what is the World of Warcraft, like the big game. Okay. Everyone's playing it. It's the most popular, and it's just like refreshing for him. He's like, oh yeah, I've just been playing like shitty games for 10 years. Like this is like what games are now. It's pretty funny.
What a weird idea. Okay.
Very, very weird idea. But the animation, like we were talking like how earlier, and this is kind of like what I was going to try and loop it in at one point, but I was talking about Jujutsu Kaisen, where like in the scene, there's like 4 different like types of animation. It's clearly not like the same staff, and like it's kind of like up and down. Like teams are working on the same scene, and it's not all cohesive. This is like across the board some of the most cohesive anime I have ever seen. Like just the movement and just like the action shot, and like it's almost Sakuga all the time. Like there's even like the little moments, like everything, just the little flourishes in it. The last show I think we watched, which funny enough was a Mappa show, was that Campfire Cooking we watched earlier this year. Leanna and I were in love with it, and it was the same thing. We just could not believe how good it looked at all times. And this show is that. It's like silly. It's
this is Crunchyroll as well.
This is it's on Crunchyroll. It's like the show I look forward to, pretty much. Like it's at the top for me. Like there's so much good stuff, but I am really liking this show.
Good grief! How many episodes are we in?
There's only 3. Yeah,
okay.
The third one came out on Monday, I believe.
How long is it running? Do you know?
25 episodes.
Oh my god!
Full season run. Yeah,
what is going on?
A lot of people online are like, what is like exactly like what is like, is this 2006 again?
Yeah.
Like like we're getting like full but and no split cores, just front to back 25 episodes.
How it should be, my guy. It's how it should be. I mean,
I love it. But yeah, it's really fun. Like the whole the plot. The only reason he gets this game is because like his local game shop owners. There's a girl that has a crush on him, and she knows this girl plays that game. She's like, oh, like try this out. Try a good game out for once. He's like, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. And just because he's so used to like having to do loopholes to beat these like shitty games, he just ends up skipping the whole first town, and he fights like the first like a zone boss by himself, and just it's very, very cool, man. Like it maybe this is like a backdoor sell, but like I think you would really like it. It's
so unlike anything I've ever watched.
Me too. Sure. I don't like these types of shows. Like
I don't mean that as a negative thing. I just like
no.
It's interesting. It's like very out of left field.
Yeah, it's like I had no idea going into it that it was like a gaming, like a VR game or like an AR game kind of thing. But and like it shows him like he has a conversation with himself of like about how I should. He's like, yeah, if I'm doing like a high dexterity build and like I'm gonna get hit once and die, like I might as well put all my points into luck, and like he's getting all these rare drops, and he's like grinding. Like there's whole day, like as you and I, like as you played World of Warcraft, you would get so much appreciation over like the little jokes of like, damn, like I guess I'm gonna spend 3 hours mining this rock, for all these mats and all that, and like they do it with in creative ways and funny ways, and it's not just like a flat joke. It's and it looks the action is out of control, dude. It's so good. Yeah.
You have sold
Drowning
me.
in good anime. It's good. One episode I think you'll be in. One episode I think you'll be in.
Really?
Yeah, the first episode comes out swinging for sure. The opening, I was in hysterics. I could not believe what I had seen in the first 2 minutes. It was so funny.
I'm gonna try it, dude.
But yeah,
man, Shangri-La, what a strong recommendation. Okay, I almost forgot, Grant. We have the Q&A.
Oh yeah, we have the Q&A.
We got some Qs, but we had a really great one from our homie Travis last week before I disapparated, and I think we both saw it and we're like, ooh, that's a good question, so let's keep it. So we did. So here's Travis's question. He has some shit talk in here that I'm going to paraphrase. What is the biggest anime betrayal after... Oh, shit. I kept running it. What is the biggest anime betrayal after not having me as a guest on the pod? Okay, I read it. We will do guests at some stage, okay? We had to bang out... We had to warm up for 100 episodes first.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think we can have a guest until we finish the Neon Genesis pod.
That too. We have a lot of commitments to ourselves and to the listeners. We gotta bang out Neon Genesis. We gotta get some of this stuff done, and then the new frontier, Shangri-La frontier. Anyway, so what's the biggest anime betrayal you can think of? So Trav, I'm gonna do you a favor here, and I'm gonna tell you that there is an amazing betrayal in Attack on Titan, which I still think you should watch. Everyone who's listening will know what I'm talking about. Yeah. It occurs in season 2. The best part about this betrayal, though, and this I think is still quite mild, is it pays dividends for the rest of the show. It only gets better. This major twist / betrayal that happens in season 2. So that's Attack on Titan, which is one of the hardest hitters. In terms of anime, and I know you're trying to get into anime, so I humbly recommend that to you. Grant, do you have one?
I confidently had one earlier, but then I realized I really want you guys to watch it at some point. I don't want the moment to be ruined. But
what is it?
In The Promised Neverland, the first and only season that exists.
Zero chance I'll remember this. I hear it's like a horror anime, right?
Yeah, it's horror, thriller, suspense. There's kind of there's two major betrayals, but the second one in the latter half, a character that kind of left field, very much a part of the group of kids and one of the core players. There's a pretty significant betrayal in that. And I remember when Leanne and I had first watched it, we were just when it comes to anime, one of my biggest out loud moments since is it hot in Full Metal when he got there in the telephone booth. I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, Mustang.
No, not Mustang.
Whoops.
Mustang doesn't die.
Oh, jeez. Matt.
No. Hughes.
No, Hughes. What am I saying?
Yeah, when Hughes got, that was I roared. I was like, what? But when we had this betrayal in, I'm just gonna say it, when Ray betrayed the rest of the group in Promised Neverland, we were in arms. What just happened? That's probably one of my more memorable ones.
Red Wedding all over again, dude.
Yeah.
You know what a good set the tone. You want a good set the tone betrayal? I don't even know if you'll count this. Real DBZ fans would know. When Vegeta kills Nappa in cold blood, early on in the conflict, after Nappa's losing to Goku, and you only know Vegeta to have one ally, and it's Nappa. And the moment Nappa is not useful to him, he fucking dusts him. You're like, oh, this guy's legit.
I don't even remember that.
I love it. It set the tone because I think the big thing with DBZ, and a big part of why people love it, especially now because most of the story is about them, is Vegeta's this murderous villain that becomes a mainstay in the cast, and that doesn't really happen. And then it's about his growth, but kind of indirectly. Yeah. And to be fair, it takes hundreds of episodes. But anyway, okay.
Damn, I might need to watch some Dragon
Watch Ball. Kai if you do. It's on Crunchyroll. It's the condensed, non-filler version. I think it's it might be half as long or less. They are amazingly efficient. and like they re-recorded all the audio too. So it's
no shit.
I highly recommend it if you're gonna watch Dragon Ball Z. Okay, like all anime conversations, they begin and end with DBZ. So there you are. I'm kidding. Is that about it, Grant?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
God, we're so glad to be back. Obviously, next week, episode 100, we have special things planned, but we're going to keep you in anticipation, okay?
Yeah.
Obviously, tune in. It's for us. It's for you. Thanks for listening this week. We will catch you on the flip side. Grant, go ahead. Say the thing.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.